Hi, I'm Ghulam Jamal, founder of TN Visa Expert. We've helped over 13,000 people with their TN Visa. This includes Canadians who've come to the US to work, Americans who've gone to Canada to work, as well as Mexicans who've come to the US or gone to Canada to work. My goal for you is for you to be able to successfully and easily obtain your TN Visa. The last thing I want is for you to be stuck at the airport or at the border feeling helpless, not knowing whether you're going to get your TN Visa because you're being scrutinized. We hear about a lot of people that have run into problems with their TN Visa. Unfortunately, we hear about them afterwards. So what I've done is today I wanted to talk to you about three mistakes to avoid that most people run into. The first mistake is incorrect documentation. So many people think that if they have all the paperwork, they can simply submit their application and they'll get their TN Visa. But what really happens is that when you arrive at the border with your paperwork, the immigration officer has a checklist, and he's going to go through his checklist based on the occupation that you're applying under, and he's going to make sure that you have all the documentation for that occupation. So if you're missing any of the documentation that isn't listed in his checklist, he's going to deny you on the spot. Then what will happen is if you're at the border, you're going to have to drive home. If you're at the airport, you're going to miss your flight and go home. And worst of all, you're going to have to contact your employer, tell them that you're not going to be able to make the start date, and you guys are going to have to figure out what to do next. So please, make sure you have the correct documentation. The second mistake people make is with the border interview. Now, a lot of people don't know about the border interview because it's not talked about. But today I'm going to tell you about it. The border interview occurs after you've completed your application, after you've submitted it, and the border officer has gone through his checklist. What happens now is he needs to validate what you've provided him. So how is he going to do that? He's going to start asking you questions. He's going to ask you questions about your application, about the documentation that you've given him. If you can't answer those questions, he's going to get suspicious. So he's going to ask you more questions. And if he concludes that you don't qualify for the TN Visa, he's going to deny you your visa. So then you're back at the same problem. You will have to go home if you're at the border interview. You're going to miss your flight if you're at the airport. You're going to have to contact your employer, let him know you can't start on the agreed upon start date, and you're going to have to figure out what to do. So make sure you're prepared for the border interview. The third mistake people make is after they've obtained their TN Visa. So you've provided all the correct documentation, you passed the border interview, which is all the questions the immigration officer asked you, and he provided you the TN Visa, which is great. But afterwards, what happens is a lot of applicants' employers think that they can initially or right away start working, but that's not true. What you have to do is you have to make sure you apply for your social security number. That's part of the regulations. So make sure you know the requirements of what documentations you need, what forms you need to complete, and make sure you apply for your social security number before you start working. So these were three mistakes people make. And today, by telling you these three mistakes, I'm hoping that you're going to be able to avoid those mistakes, avoid the problems that come with it, and that you can successfully obtain your TN Visa. So today, I've talked to you about three problems people make. But as I mentioned, there's dozens of mistakes people make, and I want you to be able to avoid them. So what I've done is I've put together the TN Visa Blueprint to make sure your questions are answered, that you're aware of mistakes people make, and avoid the problems that come with those. So the TN Visa Blueprint contains things like, what's the best time to apply at the border? Is it better to go to a border crossing and apply, or at the airport? How do you bring your household goods across? How do you bring your dependents across? And many more questions like this that you haven't thought about. The TN Visa Blueprint is there to protect you so that you avoid the problems and mistakes most people make. Now, I have a special offer and a promise to you that I want to make to you. If you obtain the TN Visa Blueprint, you read it and you understand it, and if you still have any questions, I'm going to make you a promise. And that is, email me your questions and we'll make sure that they're answered. That's going to allow you to successfully and confidently go to the border and apply for your TN visa. So go ahead, claim your TN Visa Blueprint now, and let's work through this together.